Good morning, guys. It's Rachel from Queen Vacuum, and it's about 7:30 in the morning. We're here early. So early, in fact, that there was not time to do hair, so this is happening, so my apologies. We've got some big moves happening in the back of our shop, and right now, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about real quick, is kind of shop talk. I'm curious, show of hands or show of comments down below, how many of you watching are actually vacuum store owners too? I'm like, anyone else out there? Like, I'm just curious. And if you are, that's cool. Please drop a comment. By all means, you should be liking and subscribing because you got to know how hard this is sometimes. But I'm also curious how many of you are also just small business owners just in general. You know, we're kind of like a small dying community, are we not? And I'm just curious to see what you guys are doing out there in order to, you know, not just survive, you know, the tough economy in life, but, you know, the way that the market is changing, the way people, you know, the buying habits and all the corporate stuff and government stuff. You know, how are you surviving in these days, you know, in the wake of Amazon and all that other kind of stuff? How many of you are like service provider shops? How many of you are, you know, like us, kind of the split of retail and repair? So I'm curious to see how you guys are navigating all of this, and but not just like surviving, but thriving. Who of you would be saying that like you are thriving despite all of this stuff? And that's kind of what I wanted to get into, because there's something on my heart that that I've been thinking about for a while. And because we are such an unusual business and we've been around so long, my husband John and I have been doing this business for over 20 years now. And that's just unusual. When we bought the business, it was kind of like a dinosaur. And so that's kind of a conundrum. And we grew the business and, you know, it totally made it our own. And even after all these like other, you know, the economic downturns and the '08 crash and COVID and all this stuff, we're still here. But mind you, yes, the place looks very, very different. In fact, if you look behind me, you'll see there's like nods to vacuum store stuff over here, some bags and inventory, and then the rest is like car parts. Well, in the back, we have an eBay shop. But that's what I'm getting at. This is part of my story. And I'm wondering, how have any of you maybe differentiated your shops, or maybe picked up other side jams and other things in order to, you know, not just supplement your income where things might have gone down in the vacuum store or your particular store, but how else are you feeding your passions? I tend to find that a lot of small business owners like us are kind of the multi-passionates. I guess that's the word these days, where you have a lot of skills, a lot of talents, not to like, you know, pat yourself in the back or toot your horn, but you have a lot of things that you're kind of good at and that are super passionate and excited about. And like, they do tend to turn into businessy things, right? So as an example, behind us, you see, we've turned some of our space into an eBay store. Like, we're doing that kind of thing. So we got to have inventory. So we're car people. My husband's a mechanic and I'm a car person too. And so we took that passion with the cars that we're building and stuff like that. And some of the other connections that we have in our community, we're selling, you know, refurbished parts and things like that on eBay. We also have started another YouTube channel called AutoMotivationStudios to focus on that stuff too. So like, well, how did we do that if we're running a shop and we're running this full time? Like, how on earth are we doing all of this stuff? Well, that's what I'm getting to. It's because we got the reins tightened up on our vacuum store to concentrate our hours, concentrate the different elements that we have, and to strategize and become more efficient, and to concentrate our time spent on here, so that we, as a small team, 2 people, and for the most part, me 95% by myself, like sales, service, repair, warranty, all the back stuff, myself, how am I able to do that? Like, how can you run a shop and like pay the bills as a single person doing all these different things and still have time to do these other endeavors that are kind of supplement income and that kind of fund your other fun things and that are fun. I mean, I have other channels as well that I'm working on that are more of my personal soul passion, like my Wholesome Handiworks, Wholesome.Hiker on TikTok. They're things that have to do with my personal interests and also my heart and what I feel like my calling is. So getting that out there. So how does that happen? Well, it has to do with learning a lot over 20 years and figuring out systems. In most cases, these systems are super basic and analog, and it has to do with communication, building relationships so that you're kind of like refining your customer base. You're only really serving the people that actually appreciate you. So what has it done? It's eliminated a ton of stress, just arguments and irritation and, you know, the inevitable crazy 1-star Google reviews and like what you do with that. So point being that live, learn between the college education that I got, just regular working experience where I picked up something everywhere I went, learning from the original business owner. This is a 3rd generation business. Picking up tips from my husband and a lot of stuff that I've just invented and learned and evolved over time myself. Again, just practices, scripts, systems, forms, systems that I've picked up over the years that have allowed us to streamline and literally concentrate our store from this big thing. And we used to have like multiple stores and multiple employees. We've done like all of that. And we've concentrated down to just basically a boutique in the front that I've shown you before. And then also other cool things in our space in the back, feeding our passion. So I told you all that because I'm just curious of are any of you guys doing the exact same thing possibly, or something similar? And if you are, I'd like to hear about it. But if you're not, and you'd like to hear more about what we're doing and how, you know, we've kind of enriched our personal lives through our business and how we've tailored it over time, and how it's allowing us to do other endeavors and how it's allowing us to run a storefront brick and mortar business like 3-4 days a week, and not even very consistently. There's a reason behind inconsistency, how we manage that. If you're interested to hear more about that kind of stuff, please let me know, because I'm going to be very transparent. It is on my heart to share a little bit more about that on our channel, and in some other ways about business, because we are kind of the anti-internet. We are kind of like, as far as you know, storefront stuff goes, and we are kind of like the opposite of the corporate cold. It's very personal in here. It's very personalized, very friendly. And, you know, is there hope that you can still be your own boss, you know, have your own business, generate freedom, you know, generate enough income, not gajillions necessarily, but how to survive without gajillions, how to thrive and be content and comfortable and still have a life that you are excited about and that you're not entirely burnt out. That's what we want to avoid. How do you have longevity? So, you know, we've been featured many times in like the VDTA, you know, our industry magazine, like newsletter group thing, in the newspaper multiple times, contributed to articles in newspapers and magazines. And I've been featured as an expert contributor on, like, you know, like marthastewart.com, blog articles, blah, 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 stuff like that. So again, not to be toot, but we've been around for a while. We've done a lot. And I think we're just an example of a type of business that I think people are starting to yearn for. That's kind of been lost, but it's not gone. And I think there is extraordinary value in what we do and how we do it. And people have asked about it. Even like our business neighbors are like, how is it fair? Like, how are you guys like not here? Like, how are you guys like not open, running a storefront like this? And so we've got a lot of secrets on how we do that and haven't gone completely crazy yet. And we're still married after 20 some odd years, and we work together. Like, yeah, so it's like we've been married 77 years, because if you add it all up at the time we spend together, it's like nuts. So point is, if you'd be interested to hear more about that, Please let me know. I would love the encouragement. If you think there's some value in that, please send me some of your particular specific questions and comments that I'd love to maybe start answering. But yeah, so this is just kind of a feeler thing. I just want to see if you'd be interested in hearing about it before I go bananas and start like doing all these videos that nobody cares about. So thank you for spending time with me, guys, as always. And again, drop in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That really, really helps us and keeps us going. And, you know, all the things. And stick around. We will see you next time. Bye.